And the parade headed by one of the two challengers from France, Apple Tree, the mount of Tirijane, the winner already this season of the Coronation Cup and the Grand Prix de Saint-Cloud, both Group 1 races. As a 5-year-old, he's better than ever this season. A big, striking horse, dwarfing his rivals. Number 2, Bob's Return, winner of the 1993 St. Leger. Second this year in the Coral Eclipse, showing his versatility, a tough, resolute galloper, possibly a front-runner today. Number 3, Chatoyant, winner of the Brigadier Gerard Stakes at Sandown, a Group 3 race. Now he moves into Group 1 company for the first time. The grey, Environment Friend, the senior runner, winner of the 1991 Coral Eclipse, and now racehorse and stallion at Mr. Bill Gredley's Stechworth Park stud. He's ridden by Michael Roberts. Ezud, who wears his usual visor, winner of the Juddmonte International at York last year, and 3 weeks ago, the dramatic winner of the Coral Eclipse. But will he stay a mile and a half in this company? And in the same ownership, that of Maktoum Al Maktoum, the second French challenger, unbeaten this season, winner of the Gran Premio di Milano, a Group 1 race, ridden by the trainer's brother, Freddie Head. Urgent Request, the upgraded handicapper, the outsider of the whole field, despite support. Reg Akehurst trains this grey horse. He's ridden by Richard Quinn. Wagon Master, like the Derby winner Erhab, in the colours of Sheikh Hamdan Al Maktoum, the game winner of the Group 2 Princess of Wales Stakes at Newmarket. This is his first shot at Group 1 company. The Japanese-owned White Muzzle, the best back horse this morning. He was the spectacular winner of last year's Italian Derby, second in this race and second in the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe last year. Today he's ridden by Yutaka Take, the champion of Japan. And then the Derby winner, Erhab. But since the Derby, he's been beaten in the Coral Eclipse. Can he today restore the reputation of the 3-year-old generation? Willie Carson looking for his 5th King George success. Foyer, in the colours of Sheikh Mohammed Al Maktoum, the most rapidly improving horse in the race, winner of the King Edward VII Stakes at the Royal Meeting, but it's a big jump to this class today. And finally, also in the colours of Sheikh Mohammed, King's Theatre, a horse runner-up in 2 derbies at Epsom and the Curragh. But does he truly stay a mile and a half? But he looks magnificent, possibly the pick of the paddock today, the mount of the greatest big race jockey of all in Michael Kinnan. The most open betting race for the King George in its 44-year history, I should say. But the one they've come for on the day is the Derby winner, Erhab. They've had 5-1 the field at one stage, but now Erhab clear favourite at 7-2. Then it's 11-2, Apple Tree and White Muzzle. 7-1, Bob's Return. 12-1, Ezud and Chatoyant and Foyer. King's Theatre is a 14-1 shot. 16-1, Petit Lou and Environment Friend. 18-1, Wagon Master. And 20-1, the rank outsider, Urgent Request. And here is the Derby winner, just starting to bubble again. He was relaxed and calm in the paddock, but when Willie Carson got up, he just started to break, but he's going down in a restrained and sensible way. This horse, who looked so brilliant on Derby Day, but today it's hard to be confident after his huge disappointment in the Coral Eclipse. That was the day when things didn't go right for Erhab. Out front, Bob's Return, and made it a terrific gallop. This was when Willie Carson asked his horse to go and win his race, but the response wasn't there. Meanwhile, on his outside, Walter Swinburne on Ezud, nursing his horse's stamina, coming with his run now, with the target to aim at, Bob's Return. Erhard kept with him for a little while, but now Ascot asserted himself and went away to win the Eclipse in brilliant style.
For me, Julian, that day, Erhard never found that action that he showed us in the Derby when he swept down the hill. Today, he was always labouring. You can see there he's missing a beat with nearly every other stride. He walked round the paddock today nice and loosely. I think today, probably, we'll see a different horse.
Ironically, although Erhard is a well-backed favourite, Ascot is a 10-to-1 shot, although well-backed at 12-to-1 this morning. So an international field, no doubt about the biggest horse in the field. That's number 1, Apple Tree, really dwarfing his rivals. Almost looks like a stallion already. He's bandaged behind, his heels are bandaged. And today, it really hinges on whether Thierry Janet, his jockey, can ride the sort of race that he did in the Grand Prix de Saint-Cloud. That day, he came into the straight with just one horse behind him and in a bad position with just 2 furlongs to run. Look now, he has to pull round his field before he can make his challenge. There are now only about 300 metres left, and Moutaram Willie Carson in the blue colours gets first run. From it here on in, he's reeling him in, and Thierry Janet gets him there just on the line.
Thierry Janet rode the most beautiful race here because I think Willie thought he was home here. He challenged at Saint-Cloud at the right time, but look at Thierry Janet. Now just watch how he eases him down before he gets to the post. He's not the easiest of rides, Apple Tree. You've got to kid to him quite a lot. I remember him, Julian, in the Jockey Club when Pat Eddery rode a lovely race on him then. I think he was a shade short of a gallop, and he got to the front nearly, thought he was going to win, but he just gave it away that day. You've got to know this old horse. He looked the picture in the paddock today, a tough one to beat.
A little bit difficult for Thierry Janet to do that at Ascot, but he's the champion of France. He's a great jockey. Now, White Muscle, he was surrounded in the paddock by a party of about a dozen owners, interpreters and associates, all trying to impress upon Yutaka Take what is the best way to handle this race, the possible options. Well, it's White Muzzle's second strike at this race because last year he was runner-up to the great Opera House, and this was how the race went for him then. Opera House coming to challenge Commander-in-Chief, but as he's brought out the challenge here, he looked to have every chance, but he couldn't reel in the older horses.
No, he didn't quite quicken up like he can this day. Opera House take nothing away from him. He'd had a good year, and he was a good racehorse on this day. White Muscle fought very hard, but as you see there, he's just beginning to tie up. He's just giving Pat, I should say, John Reed his head to carry here, and Opera House had too many guns on this occasion, but still, nevertheless, a very good run, because he went on after this to run a really cracking second behind Urban Sea in the Arc de Triomphe. He looks a lot fitter today, Julian, than he did in the Coronation Cup when he finished 5th. Today, he looks 100%.
Peter Chapelheim feels he's a better horse than he was 12 months ago, as you'd expect. But, Jimmy, how difficult is it going to be for Taki to ride the race that he wants to today?
Well, it's a very difficult thing for a jockey over here with little experience, because the other, in fact, 11 jockeys will know exactly where they are all the time they're going round there, whereas this young Japanese champion, he'll have to think about it, where the others will be doing it as natural as having breakfast.
And Philip Robinson has just jumped off Bob's Return, who looked well in the paddock, but as you can see, something's upsetting him at the start.
I wonder if that's that Coral Eclipse, Julian, just beginning to tell on him, because he made nearly all the running, if not most of it, that day at a terrific pace. And this is a game horse, and all the way to the line he fought as hard as he could, just rolling off to the left a little bit in the final furlong. I think he'll know that he had a race that day. As you say, he looked marvellous in the paddock. I think the connections have done a great job with him, but I just wonder if he's just beginning to think a little bit. 7-1 from 13-2. He's a lovely horse, one of my favourites, and I bet he runs a big race today, but he's just been a little bit temperamental.
Just 3 weeks since the Coral Eclipse, that really was a tough race. He's answered every question asked of him so far, but you never know what's in their minds, however well they look in themselves. Ascot, and the mind is the key factor with this horse, because the Eclipse was set up for him. He's back to 12-1 now. He's a horse who likes one horse to strike at. It happened at York last year when Sabre Hill burst clear in the Juddmonte International, and Ezud went after him and reeled him in. In the Eclipse, it was the same with Bob's Return. He had a target. Now, will the scenario be the same today, I wonder, or will there be 3 or 4 horses in the line, 2 out? That's not the sort of scenario that suits Ezud.
It's not the easiest of rides for Walter, but Walter knows him well, and I think he'll have to actually pick on which horse that he's going to follow. If he's lucky enough to pick on the horse that's going to run second, well, he's going to take a lot of beating if he gets a mile and a quarter.
Stage set for a great race. Let's join Peter O'Sullivan.
They're under Riders' orders. And they're away. And going on in the early stages, Urgent Request. And on the inside, Petit Lou and Bob's Return right with them. And Bob's Return takes it up now from Urgent Request in second and third, Petit Lou. Then comes King's Theatre just in behind them with Wagon Master next, and then Foyer. Erhab on the outside. And there's a loose horse too. White Muzzle comes next. And Ezud is the loose horse. Ezud is taking no part, and Bob's Return taken on now by Urgent Request. Urgent Request going on from Bob's Return. The loose horse is among the leaders too over on the far side as they come down to the mile pole in a sensational King George VI and Queen Elizabeth Diamond Stakes with Urgent Request the leader. Spot Ezud over on the far side in his visor. Second, though, is Bob's Return. Third is Wagon Master. They're going at blistering speed. Then about 4 lengths behind Wagon Master comes Petit Lou, and behind Petit Lou is King's Theatre, and then Foyer, and behind Foyer, White Muzzle on the inside with Environment Friend. And now going up on the inside of Bob's Return, Urgent Request and Bob's Return together from Wagon Master. Then comes Petit Lou with King's Theatre on the outside, and then Foyer. Erhab's making a little bit of ground from the rear. White Muzzle also making some progress. Bob's Return it is now by about a length from Urgent Request. They're all a bit nervous up front of this loose horse. Bob's Return and Philip Robinson in the lead, though, from Urgent Request. Wagon Master goes third, then King's Theatre and Petit Lou, and behind Petit Lou is Foyer, then Erhab. And then comes White Muzzle, and then on the outside it's Apple Tree, Environment Friend, and Chateauillon next, and Ezud swings wide as they come into the straight and run to the 2 furlong pole with Bob's Return the leader. Bob's Return being pressed all the time by Wagon Master, who takes it up now. Wagon Master being hampered slightly by the loose horse. King's Theatre's moved into second. White Muzzle's putting in a tremendous finish. And it's King's Theatre and Wagon Master from White Muzzle. White Muzzle coming there strong to challenge him. It's King's Theatre from White Muzzle as they race into the closing stages. King's Theatre's going to win it from White Muzzle at the line. King's Theatre's won it. White Muzzle is second. Third is Wagon Master, 4 Apple Tree, and behind Apple Tree came Petit Lou, and then Foyer, then Bob's Return, and then Erhard, bitterly disappointing. Chateauillon came next, and Environment Friend, and tailed off last was one of the early leaders, Urgent Request. And so the result of the 1994 King George VI and Queen Elizabeth Diamond Stakes is first, number 12, King's Theatre, owned by Sheikh Mohammed and Mr. Michael Poland, trained by Henry Cecil, ridden by Michael Cannan, only his second ride in the race, and he won on only his previous one, Belmares, in 1990. Second, under a fine ride from Utakatake, was number 9, White Muzzle, owned by Mr. Teruya Yoshida, trained by Peter Chappelheim and ridden by the Japanese champion Utakatake. And third was number 8, the always prominent Wagon Master, carrying the second colours of Sheikh Hamdan Al Maktoum, trained by Alex Stewart and ridden by Richard Hills. With fourth, number 1 for France, Apple Tree, owned by Mr. S. Al Kabir, trained in France by André Fabre and ridden by Thierry Janet. But this is the winner, King's Theatre. Went to post, winner of 4 of his 9 races, and the earner of £412,124. They went to post, these horses, winners of 53 races, earning £4,086,728. And the winner, King's Theatre, repeatedly hampered this 12-to-1 chance by the loose horse Ezud, but he battled on in tremendous style. to win on ground which had been thought, as a son of Sadler's Wells, would be too firm for him. There is White Muzzle, once again the bride, second last year, second again.
Possibly the most dramatic renewal of this race in 44 years. Walter Swinburne was drawn 6 in the middle there, and somehow he's less behind in the first 10 yards of the race. Already there, he's gone, the horse is loose, and Walter was left behind after the first 10 yards.
King's Theatre getting a tremendous reception, this son of Sadler's Wells out of Regal Beauty. And what a triumph for Michael Cannan. Just his second ride in the race, and he won it on his first on Belmares in 1990. Henry Cecil there greeting this colt, who's owned in partnership by Sheikh Mohammed and by his breeder, Mr. Michael Poland, there towards the left of the picture.
And this race totally dominated by the loose horse, because 4 or 5 at least were affected by him. The first one, the Japanese horse, Japanese-owned horse, White Muzzle, who's dropped out last there. But having left him behind, the loose horse moves up there on the right, on the outside and through the entire field. The Frenchman was brushed aside by him, and from now on, no horse is safe from his attentions. But it's Bob's Return and Urgent Request who cut out the pace, led by the loose horse here. Wagon Master's in 3rd place, and right at the back of the field you can see White Muzzle still with only Apple Tree in front of him. But this is a terrific gallop, and whether this is cause and effect, Urgent Request, I'm sure, was intended to go off at a good gallop. And now the loose horse is clear. Bob's Return in 2nd, Wagon Master is in 3rd place, and in 4th place there, Petit Lou. You can see that Michael Cannan has the winner in a good position in 5th place at this early stage. When they come down to the trees here, Jimmy, as you'd expect, the loose horses run a little bit wide.
This is a jockey's nightmare, Julian, because you don't know what he's going to do. He's got blinkers on and you're not quite sure which way he's going to race. Where he is at the moment, he's okay, nothing to worry about. But they've gone a good gallop. This is suited Bob Best, having a lead, in fact, and also suited Wagon Master, who's making ground on their heels now. Michael Hill's ridden a lovely race on Wagon Master, but Bob's Return, he's a grand horse, this. He's going along doing it nice and easily, but this is when the loose horse comes back in, and I don't know what's going through Philip Robinson's brain, but I bet he's saying, well, I hope you keep out here, boyo, because I think I've got the run of the race here. But let's drop back right on the rails, and the Japanese jockey's done nothing wrong at this stage, in fact, and he's ridden a cracking race, I think, on White Muzzle, because he's getting a run right the way round the inside, as you can see, Julia.
He was having a lovely run through until now the loose horse starts to come in. And this is where the interference begins. You can see the Derby winner, Airharp, is the first horse interfered with. There, he's interfered with. Foyer is knocked inside. The next one to be affected is the eventual winner, King's Theatre, who has to push inside. He's pushed up the back of Wagon Master. Airharp's been knocked out of it. He's got no chance now. And now, look at Michael Cannan trying to weave out. As he does so, Petit Lou is interfered with. Foyer has almost lost his chance now. He's weaving about in front, the loose horse, and somehow Michael Cannan's managed to thrust past him. He wants to go on the inside there, and then, once again, the loose horse runs away to the left, but now Michael's clear.
Michael Cannan done a great job there, because a little bit earlier on, if he hadn't have held his place, if he hadn't have ridden hard, he would have sure to touch the loose horse's heels. But he just touched his quarters and knocked the loose horse out, in fact, Azud. But what a great race this is. Twice runner-up, English Derby, Irish Derby. What a feather in the cap for the filly Balanchine. But just look how White Muzzle finishes here. He must be, you might say, an unlucky loser, Julian, because he's made a lot of ground up after that trouble when the loose horse bunched them up.
And here is Walter Swinburne unseated in the first few yards of this dramatic 44th running of the King George VI and Queen Elizabeth Diamond Stakes. He is conscious after that fall. We await news of his injuries. But the havoc caused by his mount, Azud, well, the head-on shows how many horses were affected. Why couldn't he have come over to the stands rails? That's what the jockeys were praying for. But the first one, the Derby winner, Erhard. Then Foyer is knocked in. King's Theatre there, interfered with. The Japanese jockey, look at him, is looking for room, but just as he wanted a split to come, you see Wagon Master is knocked over in front of him, so the gap is closed on him. And Michael Canaan also forced over onto him. So the Japanese riders had the worst run of all here almost, because Michael Canaan, having gone to the outside, now he switches back to the inside of the loose horse. But in the end, White Muzzle has to switch round King's Theatre.
It was a good performance when you think, Julian, that this 3-year-old's had some hard races. He's had to put up with this. As I say, Michael Canaan's had to ride him very hard to get every inch of daylight that he's got. We mustn't forget, in fact, Richard Hills on Wagon Master. What a race this little horse has run. By far the best of his career. But he was a troubled-free run for him. But take nothing away from the winner, King's Theatre. He's had to fight for every inch of daylight he's got. But White Muzzle, you can see there, has made a lot of ground up in the end. But it's a shame that this happens in a race like this, because a good gallop all the way. We had a true run race, but a worthy winner, I think, in King's Theatre.
So Michael Canaan, who comes from a tough school, wins his second King George. He won it before on Belmes. Now he's won it on the Derby runner-up King's Theatre. For the second year running, White Muzzle is second. What a dramatic ride to his rider, Yutaka Take, but didn't he handle himself well? Now, the starting prices on this dramatic race.
First, number 12, King's Theatre, 12-1. Second, number 9, White Muzzle, 9-2. And third, number 8, Wagon Master, 20-1.